Hey, this is John Cena. Smash the like button if you believe that. Shawn Michaels is a better booker than Tony Khan.
You know, somebody told me that if I look like Kevin Owens, I will be a god in IWC, because most wrestling fans, they relate to people who look like them. And obviously, I don't look like you. That's why Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan are so damn popular amongst wrestling fans, because they look like the average man walking down the street. You see, the moment people found out what I look like, man, I became public enemy number one. The moment people found out that I look like a pro wrestler, man, I became public enemy number one on YouTube. That's why I get the hate that I get. You can't look like me and you hate that. You only respect wrestling YouTubers who you look like. That is so fucking strange and weird, right? Because every time I post a gym video, I get hate for it. And I'm like, bro, I should be your motivation. You should want to look like me. You should want me to post more videos of me in the gym, right? But I'm like, okay, why would you accuse me of taking steroids? That means like, wow, bro, you are not an athlete, and that's why you people hate me so much, because you can't look like me. You only relate to people like that little dwarf from New York. You only relate to non-athletic men who you relate to body-wise. That's why people don't like Austin Theory. That's why people love Daniel Bryan. That's why people from the IWC, they would rather see Sami Zayn getting a push, but not Austin Theory. You see, you nerds in the IWC, you would rather see Big Cass get jobbed out by Orange Cassidy over Big Cass winning. You would rather see Hook choke out Big Cass over Big Cass beating Hook. That's what you go for. You don't like guys who look like me. See, it goes both ways. It translates to YouTube as well. That's what I just noticed right now. That's why I get the hate that I get. I get Austin Theory-like hate, right? It's very, very similar, and it's very, very weird how people from the IWC, they don't relate to me because I don't look like them. I'm an athlete, right? Every time I post a photo of what I look like, I get hate for it. And I'm like, once again, I should be your motivation. You should be asking me for fitness tips, not hating on me. That's weird, right? Because there's tons of pro wrestlers who look like me. So why would you hate on me based on how I look? That's called an insecurity issue from you IWC neckbeards. So yes, I agree. If I was a fat or a bony ass neckbeard, man, I would be so popular in the IWC, because all of the top accounts, all of the top YouTube accounts who talk wrestling, they don't look nothing like me. They look like dork, nerd, dwarf midgets who don't work out, who don't go to the gym. They look like regular fucking people. That's why you marks love Daniel Bryan and you don't like Austin Theory. Let's talk about Bill Goldberg, how he squashed Kevin Owens. Man, people have never forgiven Goldberg for squashing Kevin Owens. Why is that, huh? Why is that? Because back in the late 90s, yes, that would be a squash. If that was Nitro, yes, bitch, Kevin Owens would be squashed and buried by Goldberg. But this is a new generation where the neckbeards have taken over the fucking sport. And now you hate on guys who look like me, Goldberg, Wardlow, Austin Theory. I'm still trying to wrap my head around people who accuse me of taking steroids, but you don't accuse Ricochet of taking steroids, right? That's so fucking strange. You don't accuse Will Ospreay of taking steroids. Like, I don't get it. Like, why me? Like, yes, I'm a big guy, but not that big. That is a laziness issue. If you accuse me of taking steroids, but you don't accuse the people that you see on TV, Raw, SmackDown, of taking steroids. You don't accuse Finn Balor. You don't accuse Carmelo Hayes of taking steroids, but why me? That's why I'm not as popular in the IWC. Because I don't look like Grimm's Toy Show. I don't look like that. So people don't relate to me. Because the majority of the IWC look like Starbucks attendants. You look like Starbucks cashiers. You look like bad boys. So obviously, you don't relate to me. That's why people hate when I post my martial arts videos in my videos, because you don't relate to me. I am an athlete, so yes, you don't relate to me. For example, 5 years ago, people hated Roman Reigns, but they loved Daniel Bryan. A couple years ago, people hated The Miz, but they loved Daniel Bryan. A couple years ago, people were crying on why Sami Zayn was booked like a jobber. And I'm like, bruh, he looks like a fucking hobo. He should be a jobber. See, you don't like people like Braun Breaker. You don't like people like Alex Hammerstone. You don't like those kind of men. And that translates to YouTube as well. You don't like guys who look like me. Guys that can take your bitch. You don't like me. And I get it. I finally get it on why people don't like me, right? Because why would people make tons of content about me? It makes no sense based on there's a lot of people on YouTube who share my same opinions, but nobody makes content about them. So what makes me so special? What makes me a target? Yes, how I look. I got 5% body fat. People are jealous of me. I make people envious of me. So I'm a huge target on my back. I got a huge target based on how I look. I don't look like the average man who talks wrestling. I look like a wrestler who talks wrestling. You see, people for the IWC are not used to seeing a guy who looks like me, a fan who looks like me, talking about professional wrestling. They are not used to that. They like seeing neckbeards talking about wrestling. They don't want to see a guy who looks better than them. You see, the average wrestling YouTuber, he looks like a virgin neckbeard. I have the appearance of a guy that should face Daniel Bryan for the world title this Wednesday. That's how I look. I am in that category. People don't relate to men like that who talk about professional wrestling. Why? Okay, how come there's neckbeards on YouTube that have a bigger following than Jeff Jarrett on YouTube? Why is that? How come there's neckbeard wrestling YouTubers who have a bigger following on YouTube than pro wrestlers who have channels? That makes no sense. It shouldn't get to a point where that little dwarf from New York has a stronger following than Disco Inferno. I find that very strange. I find that very fucking odd. Now, do you get the picture? Now, do you see my point? I have a strong point. So, I just saw this tweet on Twitter, and it was a guy complaining about the Motor City Machine Guns going to NXT, saying that based on their age, based on their legacy, he thinks they are too good for NXT. He thinks this is an insult. Obviously, this is a AEW fan saying this bullshit. First off, NXT is better than all elite fake pro wrestling. Let me repeat. NXT is better than all elite fake pro wrestling. And they beat all elite wrestling in TV ratings every week. So what is the difference, right? Let's try to compare NXT to all elite wrestling. Bro, they have the same audience. They get the same ratings. That's their competition. It's NXT. NXT, that's their real competition. It's not Raw. It's not SmackDown. Dynamite competes with NXT. So what the fuck is the difference? For the past 5 years, this company has been competing neck and neck with NXT, a minor league company, a developmental show. They have been competing with that show. But should we view NXT as developmental based on their ratings? Because by that same logic, should we view all elite wrestling as developmental based on the TV ratings? That's how I see it. But to me, NXT is hot. Now, I don't watch that often, but they are partners with TNA, so it does make sense. It does make sense for the Motor City Machine Guns to go to NXT if they have a partnership with TNA already. So what the fuck is the difference? Now, the main roster is booked differently than NXT. to me, based on their style and their name value, yes, they should go to NXT. Who cares about their age, right? Dude, look at LA Cosplay. He was like pushing 40 and he was in NXT. Who cares? Look at Bobby motherfucking Roode. He also was in NXT in his 40s. Listen, bro, nobody cares about age when it comes to NXT. Just be entertaining. Nobody cares about age. There's a lot of people that are in their 40s that still go down to NXT to have matches. Nobody gives a fuck. But how come these all elite fake pro wrestling fanboys are just butthurt? It's like, listen, this was a smart move for the Motor City Machine Guns to go to the World Wrestling Federation. This was a no-brainer. Conman has a bad history with TNA. He has a bad history with treating TNA stars as jobbers. Look at Big Cass. Look at fucking LAX. Tony Conman has a bad history with how bad he treats TNA. Go back to 4 years ago, 5 years ago. He does not like TNA. So why would a iconic tag team from TNA go to All Elite Wrestling? Bro, they would have been sent to Rampage. I guarantee it. The Motor City Machine Guns, they would have went to Rampage or Collision. Those guys would have been job guys. They would have been fed to the Young Bucks. They would have been fed to FTR. They would have been fed to the BBC Club. So yes, this was a smart move. If you look at the options, okay, what is your options? It's either you are going to NXT or you are going to All Elite Wrestling. That is a hard decision based on the similar viewership. So how can you say that this tag team going to NXT is a demotion? How? Where's your evidence when NXT is beating All Elite Wrestling in TV ratings? Right? So in hindsight, NXT is the bigger show, is the bigger company, the better option. They have better shows, they have more promising talent, and Shawn Michaels knows what the fuck he's doing. Look at Ethan Page. Look at Brian Pillman Jr. Look at Shawn Spears. So, Shawn Michaels is a better booker than Tony Conman. So what is the issue? I don't care that both guys are in their 40s. Nobody gives a fuck. Who cares? It's all about quality over quantity. NXT is a great show. Okay, let's compare the Good Brothers to Motor City Machine Guns. What is the difference? Both tag teams have been together for a very, very long time. And they have big names on the indies. So what is the difference? Listen, let's not act like this tag team is on the level of the Hardy Boys, okay? Calm down, people. Calm down. They are a TNA tag team. So it makes perfect sense for them to go to NXT based on their audience knows who they are. If they were to come on the main roster, Raw, SmackDown, nobody would know who the fuck they are. So I just saw the last NXT. They had the Bloodline on the show. They had the Street Profits on the show. That show has a better tag team division than All Elite Wrestling. Can you imagine them facing the Bloodline? Can you imagine them facing the motherfucking Street Profits? They got tons of tag team matchups on this show. So let's talk more about the tag team division in All Elite Wrestling. Their tag team division is built around the Bucks and FTR. FTR are only useful when they are fighting the Young Bucks. Let's talk about Private Party. They are job guys. Now, they just signed the Grizzled Young Veterans. Okay, I guarantee this. They are not going to be good in this company. Conman will soon get bored with the Grizzled Young Veterans. I guarantee it. Right now, they got a small little push, but eventually Conman will get bored with this tag team. That's what he does. The fact that Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher are going to challenge the Bucks for the tag team titles, bro, they are not a real tag team. You got real tag teams on this roster that you ain't using. How come you are not trying to elevate your homegrown tag team? Private Party, they've been here since day one. They should be a top tag team. I don't get it. How come the Bucks are not trying to go to bat for this tag team? They should go to NXT. You see, everybody seems better off down in NXT. Same as Wardlow, Hobbs, same as taking shit. But this is a bad tag team division. The fact that the BBC challenged the Bucks for the tag team titles, that match made no sense. This tag team division sucks in all elite wrestling. What happened to the Acclaimed? They fell off. What happened to the Gun Club? They fell off. This is an odd trend. All these tag teams that keep falling off because Conman don't give two shits about tag team wrestling. He's very similar to Vince McMahon. And it's weird how nobody gives Vince McMahon credit. And here's why. Ever since Vince McMahon left the World Wrestling Federation, all elite wrestling has been trash. But this company was never that good. It's just you did not like Vince McMahon. Anything Vince McMahon did, you did not like. So Conman looked good by comparison, but Conman was never good. Conman was never a good booker. It's just people hated Vince McMahon so much because people were blinded by Vince McMahon hate. So it made Conman, his mistakes were covered up because of your hate for Vince McMahon. But how did that pay off? It did not pay off. You put all your eggs in that basket. You did not realize that Conman was never that good. It's just, it was all about the Vince McMahon hate. At first, yes, Conman was the alternative. But in hindsight, he's very similar to Vince McMahon. He's very, very stubborn, just like Vince. He became what he hated. He became a stubborn guy. It's his way or the highway, just like Vince McMahon. That's why all elite wrestling has been going down. This company was never that good. It's just you did not like Vince McMahon. So this was your payback. You was trying to make your ex-girlfriend jealous. That's what it was. Vince McMahon was your ex-girlfriend, and Conman was your new girlfriend. So you tried to make Vince jealous. Anything that Conman did, you thought was great. But this company has always been this way for the past 5 years. See, they booked to spite Vince McMahon. That's what it was. See, at first, they were pushing the tag team division. At first, yes. At first, Conman and the Bucks, they were pushing tag team wrestling. Hell, that's why FTR came here. FTR came here because they were lied to. They were told that this company books tag team wrestling great. They were lied to. That is what's so funny about it. All elite wrestling, they have a shit, careless tag team division. Ask Big Cass, ask Ricky Starks. They were tag team champions, and they were forced to drop the belts to Darby and Sting. And then weeks later, Sting retires as a tag team champion, and they had to forfeit the belts and put it in a damn tag team tournament. That was so stupid. That was so dumb. I would have booked the Bucks to beat Darby and Sting. All I'm saying is it made no sense for Sting to retire undefeated. The Young Bucks should have beaten Sting for those tag team titles to send him home. They could have retired Sting. That would have gotten them tons of heat. They would have retired Sting, but they didn't. That was called awful, stupid, dumb booking that made no sense. Sting don't need any more championships at this stage of his life and career. It just goes to show you, Conman don't give two shits about tag team wrestling. Let's talk about Big Cass and Starks. Those guys have broken up, but nobody knows why they broke up. They just were off TV, and the next thing you know it, you see Big Cass with Chris Jericho. I'm like, how? Why? Last year, they were in a feud. It was Starks, Big Cass, versus Sammy G and Jericho. And months later, with no explanation, we see Big Cass and Jericho on the same team. Bro, you was just tag team champions with Starks. Where the fuck is Starks? It's just, This is a lazy company, and this tag team division, it's shit and it's lazy. We need a climax. We need a fucking ending. Where's the ending? Where is your explanation? For example, currently, Finn Balor is in a feud with Dane Priest. That could have been Starks and Big Cass. How would you feel if Dane Priest and Finn Balor were to drop the tag team titles and they were to break up? But there's no explanation. They just broke up and there's no story. There's no ending. They just broke up. That's like seeing Finn Balor on SmackDown for no reason. And it's like, hold on. Where is the feud between Dane Priest and Finn Balor? Where is the explanation? Why is Finn Balor with Austin Theory? That's the same thing, bro. That's like teaming up Finn Balor with Grayson Waller out of nowhere. That's the same thing. What if Triple H did that? That's Conman. Why would you have Big Cass team up with Jericho? We need an ending with him and Starks. Where's the ending? That's lazy. You think your fan base is dumb. AJ Styles, he wishes he went to NXT first. That's a great show to be on. There's nothing wrong with NXT. And second, most guys from TNA, they go to NXT. Fucking MSK, Karrion Kross, LA Cosplay, Taya Valkyrie, Cameron Grimes, Dexter Lumis. Tons of people came from TNA. Fucking Angel Garza. A lot of people. What's the big deal here? Bobby Roode, Samoa Joe. These are big names who came straight from TNA, who went to NXT. So this is a great signing, and they already have a partnership with TNA, so it fits.